This is just a continuation of questions helping answer those who are on their own vegan journey or transitioning just to healthier options and a lifestyle. And so I just wanted to go back over some of the questions that didn't really record thoroughly, so that way y'all could still receive those answers, okay? So the first one is, where do I get protein? To be honest, I get protein from many different sources, whether it's through green leafy plants like different kales and stuff like that, or for me, I eat a lot of red quinoa and also chickpeas, which both are filled with protein. Also hemp seeds, so I make a lot of my own homemade milks and use that in my smoothies, my different food dishes that I make for myself. And so typically that's where I get my protein. And then outside of that, from different herbs that I take through tea, or from making my own capsules, since I also do that. So yeah, I do get protein many different ways. So good question. What do I eat daily? So there's tons of days where I will tend not to eat for 24 hours and be just fine off of drinking tea, water, spring water, and then also just filling my water with the super greens that I also use. I usually don't eat more than once a day. I might snack on like some nuts and cherries, like a what do you call it, a trail mix, or something like that. But other than that, I usually eat once a day. And when I do, making it myself, it's again chickpeas, something with quinoa, or it's a salad, or just something real light like smoothies. I usually do. Haven't done them recently in a little while, so I'm actually about to go on a detox of smoothies or juices very soon. So join that challenge. Let's see. Yeah, that's really what I usually eat in a day. I try to keep it as simple as possible, unless it's just like a new meal that I'm playing around with. I do make a lot of soups, so I actually have a new soup recipe I'm looking to try out very soon. So that's probably the next thing on my list, but really, yeah, that's what I usually eat in a day. Do I miss eating meat? No, not at all. Not one bit. I get asked that quite a lot, and I can't miss what wasn't providing anything of value to me. It was something that I realized I was just eating because it was something I was used to, not something that I actually enjoyed, and so, or that was doing anything good for my body. And so I really don't miss meat, not one bit. It actually gives me like this feeling when I smell it being cooked and all of that, because I feel it, I smell it, and so it's definitely a lot for me these days. But I judge no one that still eats meat, although it is one of the worst things we could put in our body. Like, if there is anything I should say we should avoid, it'd definitely be meat, first and foremost. If there's anything you should consider removing from your diet, meat should definitely be it first, I promise. But other than that, do I eat tofu? No, I don't eat tofu. My goal is to be as natural, organic, and raw as possible. That is the lifestyle I'm now moving to. Now that I'm more familiar with the lifestyle of being an alkaline vegan, and just for me personally, the importance it makes in the types of foods that we put into our body. I have a few things that I do tend to eat, not tofu, but beans and rice, may not be, the best thing to consider over tofu. But again, most of my diet is alkaline. And so beans and rice every now and then is something I choose to personally do. And I'm fine with that. But when it comes to things like tofu, I just cannot put that in my body because it's man-made. It has harmful chemicals. And it's soy-based. Soy isn't good for our bodies as well. That's just something that I've learned. And so I do my best to stay away from anything lab or man-made. If it's not something that naturally was grown in our environments, then I do not want it. And that's just the route that I'm now going. So I'm even very, very mindful of the restaurants I'm now going to. I don't eat out really at anything but the same places if I do. So rice and beans. And then outside of that, I have like Mediterranean spots that have great vegan dishes. So, falafel, things like that is what I also tend to eat to avoid tofu. There's so many more options available to us, but it seems that tofu, I'm realizing when it comes to like the vegetarian, vegan communities, seems to be like that go-to thing that is a staple in the diet. And that's just something I personally want to change and make as less common as possible, and rather more of like the natural foods that are better than tofu. I don't know what tofu tastes like, but I know it's better than tofu. So yeah, that's to answer that. Or do I eat tofu? Nah. What's the first step to transitioning? I say the first step to transitioning is definitely going to be an open mind. Because for me coming in, I was like, oh no, oh wait, I gotta replace. It's so really being patient with yourself and realizing that you've been living a certain lifestyle for 20 plus years, or wherever you're at in your journey, you've been living that way for so long, and it's what you're used to, and now you're breaking that cycle. And so I first applaud you, and I'm so happy that you decided to make that change or even give it a try. But also just realizing to have grace with yourself on a journey like this, and just being real open-minded with both information that you receive about, the current lifestyle you're living, as well as a newer way and new lifestyle like the alkaline vegan way. And then also just, with the foods, because that's a big thing, is just being real open with the foods and just learning about them and how to use them the right way. I feel like is most important when transitioning. It seems to be the toughest thing to figure out. I know for me, when I started out from my own experience, learning about the foods I was eating that were unhealthy, but then, okay, how can I replace these, and what do I replace them with? Okay, and then once I learned that, okay, well then how do I use these healthier foods and make an actual meal with them that's healthy for me, my family, friends, or whoever it is that I'm preparing a dish for. And so, yeah, open-minded, being patient, just having grace with ourselves. We're so just tough on our own selves and we judge ourselves so much. So we just got to kind of eliminate that. Not kind of, we do got to eliminate that. We got to be more gentle with ourselves. The same care, the same patience we give others, it's expected. It should be automatic. We deserve that much for ourselves. Is it difficult to change your diet? This question will depend on you. For me, it was very easy because it was a sit down with myself and it was a question of, what do I have to lose but everything to gain? When you ask yourself a question like that, you have to really sit there and ponder. Like, well, what do I have to lose? Besides, giving up this BS that I've been so used to, thinking that it was the right foods and the things for me when it really wasn't. And so, when you got everything to gain, like mental clarity, high energy, weight loss in a natural, healthy way, and just deeper connection on a spiritual level, like I say, it's a mind, body, soul thing. Food is the medicine, the nourishment, and healing, everything that we need. And so, it definitely was not hard decision. It wasn't something that was hard to change. It was rather just something hard in the sense of like when I was being difficult on myself, when I wasn't showing grace to myself or being patient, and when I tried to just jump in and I cut everything out all at once, I felt like it was just one of those things where it wasn't something to just be dabbling with, and I'm half in, half out. So that was my way of fully being committed, going all in and cutting all the bullshit out. And so I got rid of everything and switched in for all new things. And then I did go through like a hard relapse in my body, which made me go back to eating certain things at a certain period in the beginning of my transition. So I would eat like white meat, chicken, and fish every now and then, maybe one of them within that week. But I was still, again, very mindful with the consumption of both of those even then. And so once I felt comfortable enough, I just slowly winged it out of the diet too. And then before I knew it, I was just completely meatless. And I feel so amazing since then. And like things that I've been healing from since high school, like from playing sports and stuff, have now gotten to a point to where they're healing and better than what they've ever been. Like my joints, my muscles, my knee, motion and mobility, like I said, clarity in the mind, and then our health and well-being overall. Like I've never felt as strong in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually grounded as I have since transitioning and being more mindful of what I put into my body. And so, yeah, it's okay to still have your certain things that you do, because like I said, I still have certain things I, with full intention and awareness, enjoy or still have in my diet, because I know how I live. And I know I have a boundary with those things even still. So like coffee, for instance, and then rice and beans. I don't know why, but rice and beans has always been one of those things for me, as well as coffee. But I'm actually finding and creating coffee replacements, so that won't even be something that's in my diet. I've also found some dope brands that I plan to support, that have herbal teas, which is the route I'm for sure on. So I won't even be having this in my diet anymore. And rice and beans, that will be gone very soon too. So like I said, those are just things I have because that's what I choose. But as far as is it hard to change your diet, it really just depends on you and how important that is for you. If you're doing it for someone outside yourself, then it also plays a role in how important it is to change for your family and loved ones overall, and your friends, and just because it's the right thing to do. It's obvious what way is not working anymore and where the red flags are, what we need to start paying attention to more. Things that we took for granted and we just gave somebody full power and control to operate for us and have as less involvement as possible, when we are supposed to be a part of the process. And if you have no awareness of any part of the process within your food, then that's a problem. It should be. We need to know where our food comes from and what times and what's in it, what's truthfully in it. That's another thing that played a big part for me in changing my diet, is realizing how much harmful things are in the foods I was eating. And if I kept up that long term, would affect health and well-being, and that's not something that I want to experience, especially not at young ages. And so it's been very important for me to just live this lifestyle, to learn about it as much as I can, because if I have friends or family that need to change their ways or want to, I want to be able to genuinely help them and be there for them, not just some bluff like how the world is, about how we preach this good talk of being there for one another, but we're not. And that's why there's so many harmful foods out here, because everything is about profit. And so you have to start to detach from things like eating from emotionally being drawn to your food, and really have a connection of, is this whole and good for you, and is it organic, and just really just reconnecting back with all things that are natural. Our diet, our environments, doing things like gardening. You don't even to learn that process, because you don't even know if you're not, somewhat involved, I feel like, in what's going on, and so just starting out slow, really just start out slow. It's nothing to be in a rush with. I mean, we've been eating bad 20 plus years. I was eating 20 plus years of bullshit. What's the rush now? It's just now more awareness and being mindful now that you know, and now we can slowly move these things out, to bring in the better things for you, for your health and well-being, so that way you can be around as long as possible with your loved ones and these children